There's actually an anti-African element within Hebrew Israelism. Do you see this first image, brother? Yeah, would you say that's a flattering image of an African?
Yeah.
Hebrew Israelism has had an anti-African sentiment in it. When I say Hebrew Israelism, I'm specifically talking about a certain kind of Hebrew Israelism. They were actually out in New York City, like in a famous place in Queens. And on Jamaica Ave, there's African migrants who are there, and they're selling things while one of the Hebrew Israelites is on the microphone speaking. And they go out of their way to pan the camera and use a bunch of anti-African slurs to the Africans on the street. They're saying all those. These are Hebrew Israelites back in the 90s. They haven't repented or stopped that. All that's happened is some of the groups have tried to branch out. And so they're trying to say, well, there may be some Israelites left in Africa. And so let's go find them. But they leave a lot of the rhetoric that we hear a lot. They're trying to soften it down. Yet you see all these negative portrayals and all that. It almost seems like some of these video titles and images could come straight from, stereotypical like European racists. Look at like the old portrayals in the early 20th century in America, the Sambo character, and it would commonly be
like savages,
Yeah, a bone through the nose, barely clothed, a club or some implement, walking stooped over. These are the stereotypes. They're kind of doing almost updated versions of a lot of those. So this group comes to Africa and says, "Oh yes, there's a people here," but really, what do they act like when they're over here, and what's their history? They need to denounce all that anti-African sentiment if they're now going to be going to Africa and saying, "Oh, there are people here."